Hello, I'm Nick Arnoldy from Marshfield Insurance Agency, and I'm here with our special guest, Ted Nickel, the Commissioner of Insurance for Wisconsin. Welcome, Ted.
Good morning, and I just want to send a shout out to you. Congratulations again on being selected as the Small Business of the Year.
Thank you.
Yesterday.
Yeah, thank
So
you.
breaking news.
We're very happy about that. Appreciate that.
You bet.
So we're here today to go over a few issues, questions for consumers, and kind of bring them up to speed as to what the role is that you have as the Commissioner of Insurance. So
Certainly.
maybe to start off, tell us a little bit about your role as Commissioner of Insurance and how long you've been doing that.
Sure. I've been Commissioner of Insurance for about 8 years now, and if you think about the role of the Insurance Commissioner, we basically do several different things. First off, we make sure we're monitoring the financial solvency or the amount of financial resources that insurance companies have available for when disaster strikes. So the insurance companies make a lot of promises to their policyholders, and when something bad happens to a policyholder, we make sure that there's enough money available for those companies to be able to pay those claims and to make good on the promises that are set forth. Secondly, we spend a lot of time monitoring the marketplace. We want to let companies compete each and every day. Insurance agents fight with each other over potential business, and we believe, and this is a mantra that's been in my department since before I got there, that a competitive insurance marketplace is the best consumer protection. So when you have companies out there each and every day bringing new ideas to the market, you have agents out there doing what they do each and every day along with the brokers. Our job is to call balls and strikes, make sure that the marketplace is competing without any problems going on. So we spend a bit of time making sure that there aren't companies doing anything illegal out there in the marketplace, if you will. Thirdly, and really importantly, is one of my passions, which is consumer protection. So if you think about when somebody might have a question about their auto insurance claim, or they may have been through a storm and they're having some issues with their adjuster or with their insurance company, they certainly can ask for help from the company themselves, but there are moments where individuals just agree to disagree. And if there's a lingering issue with regards to consumer and a health insurance claim or what have you, consumers should always know that they've got somebody available to them to make that, to maybe issue a final resolution of an issue. So we spend a lot of time asking consumers to contact us should there be an issue with your insurance claim. Oftentimes there might be just a miscommunication, information isn't being shared properly, and when we as the insurance department get involved with a complaint, so that's how you access the department, through a complaint. We will stand in that consumer's shoes, and we will have a conversation with the company where this disagreement may have occurred. Sometimes we're able to get the consumer a little bit more than what they thought they were entitled to, or we get them their peace of mind. But at the end of the day, our job is to protect consumers and make sure that they're getting treated fairly by companies. And the other piece of the consumer outreach, or the consumer information piece, is that we do on our website, oci.wi.gov, provide a lot of consumer information as well. So we're a resource so that consumers can make proper decisions and appropriate decisions regarding their coverage, regarding the types of insurance they need. So we're a resource to help them make better decisions. So those are the three main areas of what we do at the department.
Perfect. And if a consumer does have a complaint or needs some assistance, whether it be with the agent, agency, insurer, adjuster, the website that you just mentioned would be the proper medium to file a complaint or to reach out?
Absolutely.
Okay, great.
Absolutely.
Now, you have an extensive background in insurance before becoming the Commissioner of Insurance for Wisconsin. Can you tell us maybe about your full insurance history, or how you got to the role that you're in now?
Sure, and I'll be brief, but I love to talk about my background and the time I had before I got to Madison and became the insurance commissioner for the state. I started about actually now it's 26 years ago. But I started with an insurance company up in Merrill, Wisconsin. I'm a Valley, grew up in the Valley, went to Merrill High School. And I worked for Church Mutual Insurance Company, which is a property and casualty company up there insuring houses of worship across the country. I worked there for about 18 years in a compliance role and a government affairs role before taking on the task and the incredible opportunity of being an insurance commissioner. The one good thing about having insurance background is I could walk into the department and understand, at least conceptually, a lot of the issues around insurance. Having that background on the P&C side, as we call it, gave me a good insight as to how P&C issues were handled. But I will say the department itself oversees all insurance, whether it's title insurance or mortgage insurance, health, life, disability. We oversee all of that. So I've learned a lot over the years about on the life insurance side and the health insurance side, in addition to some new things about P&C. And when I talk to industry folks, I remind them the good news is I know what you do. The bad news is I know what you do. So it establishes some good instant credibility with folks when we're out talking to them.
Very cool. Now, you've done work on the federal level too, right? I mean, you've been president of the National Association of Insurance Commissioners.
Correct.
And part of the Federal Advocacy Committee on Insurance. Can you tell us about what functions you do for those two roles?
Sure, and this gets into a lot of my duties as state insurance regulator, but also as a member of the National Association of Insurance Commissioners. That group monitors and works on public policy and model law development for the entire United States. And I was fortunate and felt very honored to serve in a officer role there, culminating last year in my position as president of the National Association of Insurance Commissioners. So I sort of represented all 50 states and 6 territories. And so it was a very humbling role to have Wisconsin back in that leadership role for the first time in quite a while. While also taking on some national responsibilities with the NAIC, I also got engaged in some international development, international standard setting development as well. I'm a member of the executive committee of the International Association of Insurance Supervisors, the IAIS, not to be confused with ISIS. So if you're researching that, make sure you type in the right words. Letters, but that entity is charged with, again, standard development for multinational and global insurers so that there's sort of an equal level playing field from jurisdiction to jurisdiction. So we are constantly engaged with our friends from Europe and from Asia, South America, and throughout the world on international standard development as well. So it's been a fascinating couple of years. It's been a fascinating career as an insurance commissioner. But we spend a lot of time, again, on that international development. But at the national level, too, we've spent a lot of time with a lot of the federal agencies who, in one way, shape, or form, overlap on state insurance regulation. So we have conversations with housing and urban development, with the Treasury Department, with Fannie and Freddie on mortgage insurance, you name it, where there's where there's some federal overlap. We've been engaged with them. Department of Labor, Securities Administration. And what we've been trying to do with those folks is work very closely with them to make sure that any federal regulation of insurance or federal oversight of insurance is consistent with the models and the state laws that oversee most of what's in place to monitor insurance. So we don't have dual regulation. We don't have a federal component versus a state component. We want to harmonize those as much as possible. So I've had the opportunity to spend a lot of time in D.C. With a lot of those folks working on federal policy development as well as the work we do nationally and then back here at home.
You are busy. I appreciate your time today, considering all those roles that you have. Now, you You are part of the Governor's Council of Financial Literacy, which is very important, helping, I believe, students be up to speed on financial literacy. But could you talk a little bit about the work you've been doing for financial literacy?
Sure, and this is one of the many great things the governor has done. When he first came into office, there was an existing council on financial literacy, but there was no insurance involvement. So it was generally a group of volunteers who worked on financial issues, financial education issues for individuals and for students. But when the governor first came in, he realized that insurance is also a part of financial literacy. I mean, once you buy a car, you need insurance. You want to think about life insurance as you grow older. You want to think about ways to provide financial security for yourself. And so he saw that as clearly an opportunity to add the Commissioner of Insurance along with the Secretary of Financial Institutions as co-vice chairs of the Council on Financial Literacy. So that's why I get to spend some time there. The council itself and the work they're doing, and a lot of the credit does go to the Department of Financial Institutions. They do provide a lot of the staff support there. But the council itself has done a lot of work recently in past years, identifying very good financial literacy programs across the state and awarding those. So we have an awards ceremony every January or February, where the governor presents awards to outstanding financial literacy programs across the state. And the group itself works with the Department of Public Instruction, and a lot of other volunteers to work on policy related to financial literacy. How do we get financial literacy as a core component of high school education? How do we deal with adult financial literacy? Because it's not just about the kids. There are a lot of adults who would benefit from having some financial literacy, some outreach, some training. So we've targeted both the school districts as well as adult financial literacy as key areas to do more in terms of getting information out to folks. And I feel like one of the huge benefits of this more recent focus on financial literacy was that up until about a year or so ago, we were up to about 60%, I think, of high schools that had a financial literacy component to it. Now, school districts can develop programs that make sense to them and fit their needs, which I think is appropriate. But the legislature last year just passed a requirement that all school districts now have some sort of financial literacy component in their graduation program. So I think that's a really nice next step to getting some financial literacy and some financial education built into each and every school kid's career prior to their graduation from high school. So it's some pretty exciting stuff that we're doing.
Yeah, that's great. I can say that the local high schools here, I often get a phone call to come and talk to the consumer math class, which is a lot of fun. So is what we're looking to do on a state level is then make sure that those students do actually take like a consumer math class then and have that as part of their curriculum before that they graduate.
Correct.
Yeah, great.
Yes.
I appreciate your work on that.
You bet.
There's many issues facing the industry, but I think on the consumer side, one of the questions that we get a lot at our office is what's going on in the health insurance side of things. People worried about premiums, which are obviously concerning, whether the subsidies will be out there, and really what is on the horizon as far as it goes with coverage and if their insurer is going to be in the state this year or out of the state. And of course, most importantly, the premiums. What could we tell the consumers out there as far as where we see either premiums going or companies coming in and out?
So that's about a 3-hour show.
Yeah.
So I'll try to be brief, Nick. But I think the key points right now with regards to health insurance in Wisconsin are: number one, the governor just passed, just signed into law a 1332 waiver. Now that gets a little bit techie, but the bottom line of the 1332 waiver program was to apply to the federal government for us to be able to set up a reinsurance program. Again, this is getting techie, but What that essentially does is for those individuals, and I don't want to leave anybody with questions in their mind, but remember, this is for just the individual market. It's for those individuals who don't have employer-sponsored, who aren't on Medicaid, who aren't and have Medicare. But for those, that one slice of individuals who are in the individual market, who are purchasing either directly from a company or they are going through the Affordable Care Act exchange website to buy their insurance. For those individuals, the reinsurance program will provide a significant amount of relief in terms of their insurance premiums for 2019. We're going to be standing up that program, assuming we get approval from the federal government fairly soon, and that will help stave off, or will stabilize the significant amount of increases that consumers have seen over the last several years. The other good news about it is that the health insurance premiums may actually go down a little bit moving forward. So we're not just slowing the rate of increase, we're actually predicting some decreases in insurance premiums for 2019 and beyond. The other part of that is we're going to be working on some market reforms, which might also help either provide more choices to consumers, as those who are shopping in the individual market have seen. There have been companies who've left the state. A lot of the larger companies who've suffered significant losses just couldn't afford to write individual health insurance anymore. So they've pulled back or left the market. We're hoping that with the combination of the reinsurance program, as well as some of the potential marketplace changes we'll make through our use of waivers from the federal requirements, that we'll start to see potentially even an uptick and maybe potentially companies coming back into the market, seeing that our market will be stabilized in terms of price. So for the consumers out there, I wanted to say help is on the way, but I would just say that we think we've found a way to at least stabilize the current market. And I would say too that as the national and in particular the Wisconsin economy continues to improve, I think you're going to see more employers and other entities beginning to offer more in terms of insurance and health insurance benefits. I think that's helpful too. And then finally, on the health insurance side, I would be remiss not to, and I know we're in Marshfield, and I appreciate that, but the cost of health care continues to be a major driver of the increase of health insurance costs. So I think we need to continue to have multiple conversations, one about how to bring the cost of the insurance down, but in order to do that, we need to continue to focus on the cost of the ever-increasing cost of health care. And we as a community, we as a nation need to have that discussion and not just simply focus on the insurance side, but focus on the health care cost side.
Thank you. That's great news. Is there any change or any updates to any of the Medicare products or Medicaid products, the Advantage plans, anything different coming down the pike there, or is it relatively the same?
Yeah, that's a little more granular than I probably would be prepared to answer right
Sure.
now. But I think there's a lot of competition as you probably know, on the Medicare Advantage plans, and I haven't talked to my folks on how the filings are going with those, or to see if there's a lot of new options there. But I suspect that's going to continue to be a pretty competitive marketplace.
Great. Along the consumer side as well, we're seeing a little bit more of the digital age, the digital consumer. As an agent, I realize there's always going to be shoppers out there that just want to go and do it on their own, typically on the auto side. But we are seeing homes and other products, and consumers just want to go out there and really just go on their own and purchase their own liability, maybe full coverage, things like that. Can you provide a consumer who wants to circumvent maybe the agent process and is comfortable enough going right online and shopping, any tips that they should be aware of if they're going to go and shop
Sure,
online?
and this is another 3-hour show we could do on innovation and technology.
Right.
What we're seeing, Nick, is at the national level, is a changing consumer behavior, changing consumer demands. Everybody wants to buy everything on their phone or through Amazon. They don't want to go shopping in a store anymore. They might not want to talk to a nice fellow like you at an agency. They think they can do it all on their own.
Yeah.
And technology is enabling that to occur. And there are different, in terms of the technology side, there are different products that are, and companies that are building on a digital platform to provide insurance products. I mean, that's unheard of 10 years ago. Right. I mean, it was always go to your agent, maybe do a little bit of online shopping, but ultimately the idea of buying insurance should be through an agent or broker. I'm old enough to still want to rely. I have an agent in Madison. I want to rely on their guidance. I trust them to know my insurance needs better than I do. That's what they're there for. That's how they're trained. So my first bit of advice would be to make sure you're really certain you've got what you need. And there's no better person to talk to than your local agent or broker, or deal directly with an insurance company that's selling products to get you the right peace of mind, get you the products that take care of all of your needs, not just what you're thinking about at that moment. Right. So there's always a risk there. But for those who want to engage in more of the digital the digital business of insurance, if you have any questions, again, you can come to our website, or you can contact our department. Is this company legit? Mm-hmm. Is what I'm buying what I think I'm buying? You can always call the department if you have a question about anything. But my advice is to first go through an agent, because oftentimes if it looks too good to be true, if that price is really, really low and it's oddly different than anything else you're seeing, there's probably a reason behind that. So you need, as a consumer, if you're going to go that route, you really need to be informed, and you can access, again, resources from an agent, from a broker. You can access resources from our department on our consumer services page. There's a lot of information out there, but make sure you're making good, solid, thoughtful choices if you're gonna go that route.
Appreciate the plug for the agents there, and we get the question from time to time, and we understand that sometimes there's going to be that digital consumer, and that's totally fine. I think the advice that I'd like to give those folks is just do your research on the company. Look at their financial rating, their financial strength, their AM Best rating, and kind of key in and make sure it's at least an A or A minus. And again, like you say, if you see a vast difference in price, there's probably a reason for that. But at our office, we have no problem answering those questions, even if it's not a product that we sell. So what other issues are you seeing just kind of broadly in the industry in Wisconsin here that you might want to mention?
Well, I would say that the Wisconsin insurance market, it's sort of a double-edged sword. It's very robust right now. And for consumers, that's great, because companies are competing on all sorts of different platforms. They're competing on price, which is good for consumers, lower prices. They're competing on different types of services. They're competing on the amount of products that they're available. So it's never been a better time for consumers to shop and to check their existing coverages, and then talk to an agent, or talk to or look online for options to see if you're paying the right price for your needs, because there are a lot of choices out there right now. It's tough for the insurance companies because they've got to be very competitive, but that competition really does promote and produce really good products for consumers at a competitive price. So we're seeing a very competitive market out there. And surprisingly, with over 2,000 companies licensed here in Wisconsin, and 380 that call Wisconsin home, or we call them domestics, there are still companies knocking at the door to get in. So we're still seeing at the department, we're still seeing a level of interest in different kinds of transactions, where there's a few mergers going on. There's some new companies that still want to get into Wisconsin market. They feel like there's opportunities there. Some of them are shifting from one part of the marketplace to another, trying to differentiate themselves. And all of this competition is producing good products and good services and at great prices for consumers. And I would say on the, kind of going back to the health insurance piece a little bit, I'm cautiously optimistic that the work we're doing will help, again, sort of stabilize or mitigate some of those price increases that we've seen over the last few years. And again, I'm hoping that with this current reinsurance program that we're developing, as well as some potential market reforms, that we're going to see some better days ahead for health insurance in this state.
Great. Anything else you'd like to mention to us here in the center of the state of Wisconsin?
Yeah, it's great to be back up north as a Merrill native. Again, if I haven't mentioned, it's always if you're having any issues with your insurance company at all, and you feel like you're not getting straight answers, it's not a bad thing to call us or contact us with a complaint or with a question. So our website is oci.wi.gov. It's really simple. From there, you can find our consumer services page, and I would just ask folks to think of us if things get really bad and you can't handle it on your own. Don't feel like you're ever alone, because you've got somebody's got your back, and we'll be there for you.
Perfect. Well, I appreciate your time and sitting down with us and
You bet.
answering some of the industry's questions, the consumers' questions, and welcome to Marshfield again. And thank you.
Do you still have a CHIPS?
Yes,
Chips
we
is
do.
still open.
It is on the way out of town. Yeah, you.
All right, I may stop.
If you're going back down towards the Madison area,
Yep.
I encourage you to stop there. It's
right.
very good. Yes.
Merrill and Marshfield, I think they're the last two left.
I believe there's one in Wisconsin, in Rapids. I think Steve will appreciate that. Yes, wonderful place to
Very
eat.
good.
So thank
All
you.
right, thank you.